Hi everyone, welcome to Elite Tutorials. If you're not a part of Elite Tutorials and want the images of the textbook, you can call us on 9699 599 299 and we shall email the images to you. Right? So continuing with our chapter, that is elements, compounds and mixtures. So in the last video we had started with a chapter wherein we spoke about elements, right? Okay, so we said matter can be divided into living things and non-living things, wherein we spoke about pure substances, and in pure substances we had spoken about elements and compounds, and we said mixtures fall into the category of impure substances, right? Further, then we spoke about elements. In elements we spoke about atoms, and we spoke about what is the atom made up of. We said nucleus and orbit, and we studied the subatomic particles, that is electrons, protons and neutrons. We also classified the elements as metals, non-metals, noble gases and metalloids, and we had also studied a lot of examples of them, right? And we spoke about that all these elements were placed in the periodic table. Okay, now this periodic table we'll be studying in much more detail in the higher standards. Okay, so moving further, and I'm sure all of you all have seen the video and you all have also learned a few examples of metals, non-metals, noble gases and metalloids, right? If you still have any doubts and difficulties, hope you've jotted that down. We will be solving that in the live doubt solving session. Okay, so we start with our today's video, that is we are going to start and we're going to talk about molecule. Now what is a molecule? When we talk about molecules are basically the smallest, means they are made up of, or they are a combination of atoms of the same element or different element which are combined together, they form a molecule. Now when we talk about a molecule is the smallest unit of a substance. Okay, like we have already learned that atom is the smallest unit of an element, molecule is the smallest unit of a substance, and it retains all the properties of a substance. So let's quickly go through the definition of a molecule. Molecule can be made up of atoms of the same element or different. Okay, so we would be having atoms of the same element that combine. So atoms of same element or different elements that they combine. Okay, so that is what, and they combine to form a molecule. So molecule is considered as a smallest unit or a basic smallest unit of a substance that we've also studied in the first chapter. So molecule is the smallest unit of a substance and therefore retains all the properties of a substance, right? Okay, now as we are saying that a molecule is made up of atoms of an element, same element or different element, so we need to know how many atoms are combining to form that molecule. Okay, so to understand that, we will be to understand that a little better, we have the next topic that's called as atomicity. Now what is atomicity? Number of atoms that combine to form that molecule will be called as atomicity. Okay, so let's study the next term, that is atomicity. So the number of atoms forming the molecule. Okay, so basically, as we had, if you can recollect, when we were talking about metals, non-metals and metalloids and the noble gases, that chart, what we had done a comparative chart, in that last line I had specified monoatomic, diatomic, and I told you we'll be doing that in much more detail when we study about molecules. Yes, so we are already on that topic now. Okay, so the number of atoms that are going to combine and form a molecule. Okay, so before I explain you this topic, just let me give you a few examples. So I'm sure you'll, with the example, you will understand it a little better. If I write 3 examples, right, like, okay, so I have written Na, O2 and P4. Okay, so you understand that Na is an element, okay, or else we say Na is a molecule or an sodium. Okay, everybody knows Na is sodium. So you say it is written alone. So now what I say is it is an element which is made up of only one kind of atoms and it has all the properties of a compound. So it can exist alone, right? Okay, whereas when I talk about oxygen, I say oxygen over here is an element which is made up of two atoms together. So this oxygen molecule is made up of two atoms together. Okay, so to make a molecule of oxygen, I require how many atoms? Two atoms. With that also, you will be more clear when we come to P4. So you say when I want to make a phosphorus molecule P4, I need how many atoms? 4. So if you see that whenever in all of the molecules, the number of atoms do not remain the same. So that is the concept called atomicity. So because over here sodium can exist alone, that is one atom is there in that molecule and it has all the properties of a chemical compound. So I call this as monoatomic. Monoatomic means made up of a single atom, right? So the molecule which will be made up of a single atom, right? Whereas when we talk about an oxygen, in oxygen two atoms are combining together to form the molecule. So that is called as diatomic. When we talk about P4, you see there are more than two atoms which have combined to form the molecule. So I can refer that as polyatomic, means having two or more than two atoms will be referred as polyatomic. Okay, so I'm sure with the example this is a little better. Okay, so we are going to do three types of molecules. The first one we're talking about is called as monoatomic, diatomic and polyatomic, right? So what can we say for monoatomic? Monoatomic can be said that it is made up of a single atom or single atoms, right? So we can say that in certain cases single atom can be regarded as a molecule. So it's an element which is made up of single atoms, right? Okay, now in diatomic I can say that the molecule is made up of two atoms together. Okay, whereas when we talk about polyatomic would be more than two atoms. Right? Okay, let's get to the examples. I told you metals all fall into the category of monoatomic. Okay, so we had learned a long list of metals. Okay, I'm sure I told you to even revise that. So there was a long list of metals. So you can write any example of metals. That is, okay, I can write sodium, potassium, calcium, magnesium. Okay, and the list goes on and on and on. Okay, mercury, silver, gold. Okay, so the list is endless. So I say metals fall into category called as monoatomic, right? Okay, also when we had studied about noble gases, we said that the noble gases are not combining. Okay, because I had told you that their outermost shell is stable, so they have full electrons, so therefore they come into the chemically unreactive category. Because they come into chemically unreactive category, they exist as only single atoms, right? So they fall into the category of monoatomic. So your noble gases, that is, this is the first one, and the second one would be noble gases. You can write all the noble gases if you remember. I'm just quickly writing the symbols. Okay, helium, neon, argon, krypton, yes, and you know xenon and radon, right? So you have all the categories of noble gases which you've already studied. So for all of them I can say that the atomicity is equal to 1, right? Okay, so what which elements usually will be coming in the diatomic category? So you have quite a few non-metals which fall into this category. That is non-metals like H2, that is hydrogen. Then you have hydrogen, okay, so helium comes in the noble gas category, okay. Then you have lithium, beryllium, all of them come over here, okay. So then you also have oxygen, nitrogen, chlorine, bromine, okay. So the list again is quite long. So all of them come into the diatomic category. So we can say that for them, all of these examples, the atomicity is equal to 2, right? Okay. Now when we talk about polyatomic would be more than 2. Okay, you have a few examples over here and these examples have to be learned thoroughly, okay? So 2 examples have been given in your textbook. The first one is called as ozone, that is O3. So over here the atomicity for this one is equal to 3 because 3 atoms of oxygen have combined together to form an ozone molecule. Okay, so you also have phosphorus, that is P4. Okay, that has an atomicity equal to 4. So that's atomicity equal to 4. So you need to learn examples. Okay, I'm just giving you one more extra, that is called as sulfur. Sulfur also exists as S8, which is called as crown sulfur. This is an extra example. Okay, and the atomicity for this is 8. Okay, and the interesting part is it exists like this. That's why it's called as crown sulfur. Let's see 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 and 8. So all those dots what are there are sulfur and it exists like a crown. That's why it's also called as crown sulfur. Just a little extra info. Okay, right? Okay, so I'm sure you have enough of examples for atomicity of monoatomic, diatomic and polyatomic. But remember, over here we studied that all of these atoms are same. Okay, so these were atomicity when we were talking about will be applicable only when it is for same elements. Right? So when it's for different elements, we would be studying another category called as compounds. Okay, so we'll be starting with the next topic that is called as compounds. I'm sure everybody has understood molecule, atomicity, monoatomic, diatomic and polyatomic. Okay, so we have another category that is when the molecule is formed of different atoms, it combines to form a compound. So that we'll be studying under the compound category. Okay, so this has already been given in your textbook. If you just want, you can jot down the extra example, or you still want to copy down, quickly pause the video and copy down. We continue further. Okay, so I told you when we are talking about the molecule which is formed of different kind of atoms which are combined together in a fixed ratio, that will be giving us compound. Okay, so we also say water molecule. That's why we sometimes refer that as a water molecule. Why do we call it as a water molecule? Because it is made up of hydrogen and oxygen, right? Carbon dioxide, that is carbon and oxygen, which is present in a fixed proportion. Now that is made up of carbon and oxygen. Both the atoms are different. Okay, so that is what we are going to study when we are talking about different elements. But I told you we'll be talking about that in compounds. So let's start with the topic compounds. Okay, so in compounds, what is the definition? So first we go down very quickly with the definition, then we do the properties of a compound. Okay, now when I talk about a compound, I say compound comes in the pure substance category. So compounds are pure substances. Compounds come into the pure substance category. So compounds are pure substances which are made up of two two or more different elements. Right? Two or more different elements, but they are always combined in a fixed ratio. Okay, so the main thing about of a compound is that they are combined in a fixed ratio. So I say a compound is a pure substance which is made up of two or more different elements or atoms which are combined in a fixed ratio. Okay, so you need to know this fixed ratio is very important. Okay, and it's a pure substance. So the two words important over here is pure substance and fixed ratio. Okay, and because they are made up of two and more different atoms or elements. Okay, so basically we can also call that as elements, and but obviously that is atom. Okay, a simple example. I talk about water, H2O. So when I talk about H2O, H2O is water. So I say, what is H2O made up of? I say H2O is made up of two atoms of hydrogen and one atom of oxygen. That is a standard. Okay, so this cannot change, because if the ratio changes, it no longer is water. Right? That is, two atoms of hydrogen is combining with one atom of oxygen. That is fixed. That is how it's going to exist. Okay, so that is the fixed ratio. Now when we talk about hydrogen and oxygen, okay, how is it combined? So basically what will happen is, basically if you understand, when we're talking about hydrogen has one atom in its outermost shell. Okay, oxygen has an atomic number 6. So I can say that it has 2,4 electrons in the outermost shell. 4 electrons in the outermost shell. So now exactly what is going to happen? I have oxygen in the center, so this is the nucleus. Okay, and I am drawing the outermost shell. Okay, now if you understand, in the outermost shell of oxygen that we are going to, oxygen is 8. Yes, I was thinking about carbon dioxide. Okay, yes. Oxygen is 8, so that is 2,6. My bad. Okay, so it's 2,6. Okay, so how many electrons in the outermost shell? We have 6 electrons in the outermost shell. But it is going to combine with hydrogen. Okay, so hydrogen over here, a little small hydrogen, which has 1 electron in the outermost shell. Okay, so this is hydrogen. This is another hydrogen. Right, and I told you oxygen is having how many electrons in the outermost shell? 6. So basically, to make it more simple, I am just drawing the electrons of oxygen with a different color. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. Okay, so now what happens is hydrogen and oxygen combine. Okay, which will be forming something like, yes, this is the structure of water molecule. Okay, so that is 3. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 oxygen. Okay, don't worry, this is there in much more detail next year. So you just need to remember this structure. Now why am I telling you to draw, why am I explaining you this structure? This structure, now see what happens is, what when we correct papers, or else in schools also, your students, what they do is they tend to make a mistake in the chemical formula. Okay, so just imagine some student X, okay, he's written the formula of water as H2O2. Okay, and he says, Miss, I just wrote 2 by mistake. Sorry, just wrote 2 by mistake. So I wrote H2O2. Now when you write H2O2, what does it mean? Means in this structure 2 oxygens are going to combine with 2 hydrogens, which is not possible. Okay, so when you say that just by mistake I wrote that, so what happens is it does not fit into the formula anywhere. Okay, because it cannot combine, so it's not possible. So that's the reason when you write a wrong formula, and then what happens is he goes home, but obviously the teacher gave him wrong. He goes home and he says, "Arey, the teacher is very khadoos. Okay, she didn't give me marks. I just wrote by mistake 2 extra." But that by mistake 2, when you write extra, means oxygen. 2 oxygens are coming into picture and 2 hydrogens. So where's the fixed ratio? Right? So whenever you're talking about the compound, the ratio has to remain fixed. Okay, so you get this point in your head, that when we're talking about a compound, the ratio is fixed. Okay, so that is why compounds have specific formulas which have to be learned the way they are. Okay, I hope I've convinced you to learn chemical formulas well. Okay, so moving back to our topic. Okay, so I told you compounds are made up of different atoms which are mixed in or which are combined in a fixed proportion. So hydrogen and oxygen have combined in a fixed proportion, that is 2:1. 2 atoms of hydrogen which are combined with 1 atom of oxygen. Okay, so we have very well understood this. So we need to know the properties of a compound now. Okay, now let's see very quickly what are the properties of a compound. Let's see the first one. The first property of a compound is it is present in a definite proportion. Yes, we know that very well. Definite proportion or a fixed ratio. Everybody knows this. So hydrogen and oxygen combine to form water in a ratio 2:1. Very clear? Okay. That is the first property, definite proportion. Let's come down to the second property. The second property says that it is always homogeneous. What is homogeneous? Uniformly mixed. So, or uniformly distributed. What does this mean? So when I am talking about a water molecule, okay, so when I talk about a glass of water, in the glass of water, all of them are water molecules, means all of them are H2O. Right? It's not that one place there is hydrogen, one place there is oxygen, and one place there is water. No, it's all uniformly distributed. Okay, and therefore we say it's uniform mixture, and thus we can call it as homogeneous. Right? Okay, so I'm sure you've understood. Okay, so I'll give you one example of heterogeneous mixture. Maybe heterogeneous, something like heterogeneous. I'm talking about a heterogeneous mixture wherein you can understand oil and water. So oil forms a top layer and water. So I say oil is not uniformly distributed in water. Okay, so when it's not uniformly distributed, I call it heterogeneous. When it's uniformly distributed, I call it as homogeneous. Okay, but that's for mixtures. I'm talking about compounds. Okay, so everywhere H2O is uniformly mixed, right? Okay, in the molecule or in the compound of water. Let's see the third example. Okay, the third example is quite interesting. They have definite set of properties. Okay, now let me explain this with an example. Okay, so if we have the example of water, you very well know that water is made up of hydrogen and oxygen. Now, hydrogen is highly flammable, dangerous. Okay, oxygen supports burning. But when hydrogen and oxygen come together, okay, they form water which can extinguish fire. So, no longer hydrogen and oxygen properties are retained in water. Okay, so water does not have any properties of hydrogen nor of oxygen, right? So water has its own properties. So I can say that definite set of properties means the compound has its own properties, okay, and does not retain the properties of the combining elements. Okay, chalo, I'll give you one more example. Very interesting this example is. Okay, I'm sure everybody knows common salt. When we talk about common salt is NaCl. Okay, NaCl is common salt, Tata Namak, Desh ka Namak. Okay, so that is made up of sodium and chlorine. Okay, so sodium and chlorine combine in a ratio 1:1. Okay, and they form sodium chloride. Now you will not believe that sodium is so dangerous. Okay, so if you place a piece of sodium in your hand, it will fall off from the other side. It will damage your skin. Okay, if you try holding sodium like this with your hand, it will melt your skin. So it's extremely dangerous. Okay, so sodium is so dangerous that it is always stored under kerosene. Whereas when we talk about chlorine gases, chlorine is a gas. So those fumes of chlorine gas, if inhaled, okay, can cause suffocation, and it was used in smoke bombs in the World War. Okay, so now try understanding chlorine and sodium, both of them, both very dangerous, are combining together and forming NaCl, that is salt. And if you do not have sodium chloride, that's dangerous because it's going to affect your blood pressure. Right? So you understood how compounds, atoms combine and they have new set of properties. Right? Okay? Quite interesting. Okay, chalo. So moving further, so I'm sure you understood this example, that is they have definite set of properties. Further, we come down to the fourth point. The fourth point when we are talking about is they do not retain their, okay, there you go. Do not retain their original properties. Okay, so I combined your third and the fourth point. And the last one, they can be separated by chemical means only. You cannot just separate it anyhow by physical means. Okay, first thing we need to understand what is chemical means and physical means. Okay, so when I say they can be separated by chemical means what? Okay, if I want to take, okay, if I have a water, that is H2O. Okay, now we know that it is made up of hydrogen and oxygen. So I cannot just separate hydrogen and oxygen from water. Okay, first thing, you will not even know how many atoms, or else you will not be able to see also, right? Where is hydrogen, where is oxygen. Till now, you didn't know how the structure of water looks like. Okay, so this is just for you at this level, but actually the structure of water is much more different. Okay, so when we're talking about, so it's not going to be easy to just pull out hydrogen and oxygen. So everybody would have done that. Not possible. Okay, so if you want to separate hydrogen and oxygen, we need to add a few drops of, okay, so we need to add a few drops of acid in it, and then you pass electric current through it. So water can be separated into hydrogen and oxygen only by electrolysis, means by passing electric current. So that is by a chemical mean. Okay, you cannot just do a physical mean, that is by pulling it or something, not possible. Okay, so or else by just heating it, not possible. So basically separation of the constituent elements, that is the atoms, the elements which have combined together to form that compound, can only be separated by chemical means. Okay, now you might wonder, okay, then what is physical means? Okay, when I said they can be separated only by chemical means and not physical means means simple. Now, if I'm talking about an example, just an example to explain you what is physical means. When you're eating some sabji, okay, and there's a piece of chili that comes into it. So what you do is you just pick the chili piece and remove it. So in chemistry, that can also be called as hand picking. So there was no chemical reaction that happened over here. So you just picked that and removed it. So that is called as hand picking. Okay, so that is as simple or can be categorized as physical means. Okay, so I'm sure you've understood that compounds, the constituent elements of compounds can only be separated by chemical means. Okay, so with that we have finished the properties of compound. Okay, I'm sure you've understood this. Okay, so we have done in today's video, we finished molecule. Okay, so we said molecules are made up of atoms, that atoms can be of the same element or different. When they are made up of same element, that is when we speak about atomicity. So we spoke about monoatomic, diatomic and triatomic. Okay, monoatomic, same, one only single atom. Diatomic, two atoms. Polyatomic, many atoms together. Okay, so more than two. In that we had learned two examples. I gave you one more example, crown sulfur. Okay, then we moved on to compounds. So in compounds we said that they are pure substances which are made up of two or more different types of elements which are combined in a fixed proportion. We studied the example of water. We also studied the properties and of compounds, right? They are mixed in a definite proportion, that is fixed ratio. They are homogeneous. They have a definite set of properties. They do not retain their original properties. So even if I take an example of carbon dioxide, okay, so carbon dioxide will extinguish fire, right? Oxygen supports burning, carbon is combustible, okay, but carbon dioxide extinguishes fire. So again there are properties which are differing, right? Okay, and they can only be separated by chemical means. So I told you water can be separated by electrolysis, right? So with that we have finished molecule, atomicity, and everything about compounds. So we finished the next 2 pages in your textbook. Okay, so we'll be continuing with mixtures and the further part of the chapter in the next video. Okay, so till we meet again, thank you everybody.